of Philadelphia. I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gargano Show.
Oh, good evening, everybody. Happy Thursday to all. Opening day is upon us, and the Sweet 16. That's right. Tonight we got hoops, a great meld of baseball and basketball. The tournament resumes, and this handsome fella next to me is the great Dick Jerardi. Welcome in, everybody. We are live at Parx Casino, Street Road in Bensalem, the fabulous sports book here at Parx. We love it. If you can't get here, don't worry. You got the Bet Parx Sportsbook online casino app waiting for you, all right? All the futures. We'll go over some of the future who Dick likes to not only win tonight and tomorrow night, but maybe take the run in for the tournament. We'll take a look at how the whole thing will go. You can bet all your baseball on the Bet Parx app. And, of course, don't forget all the great casino games, live online blackjack, roulette, poker. They have all the fun slots based on the movies, Rocky, Peaky Blinders TV show, Squid Games, all the games you love. And don't forget, there's always another way to win on the Bet Parx Sportsbook online casino app. And new customers get to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down the first 24 hours. BetParx.com has all the details. You got to be 21. You got to be in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, Maryland, Ohio. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Good evening, Dick.
Good evening, Anthony.
Happy Sweet 16.
And to you, sir.
And the opening day. We
Yes.
got to touch on this.
Yes, we do.
All right. So, we got here, and we're waiting for the great people at Parx to set up our spot here. So we were watching the Phillies, and we're watching Mackenzie Gore just
13 was the final number. Strikeouts.
13 straight.
One hit. 6 innings. 5 innings, 6 innings.
6 innings.
Unbelievable.
13 strikeouts. One hit.
Yep, in the second inning. Schwarber let off the second inning with a single, and that was it.
Yeah, he's mowing him down. But here it is. Just as everybody's grousing, I'm getting texts, right?
It's all over. They may never win a game.
It's the same thing. Strikeout. Too many strikeouts. Blah, blah. And then there he is. Bryce, MV3. Harper.
And then Schwarber.
They
bring in a relief pitcher, 2 home runs. So
right?
Phillies lead 2-1 in the 7th.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now, you'll be watching this, thinking about the tournament, and I know that's why this is a tournament special.
Yes, indeed.
So we can't win. First of all, let's go, before we dive into these games, let's talk in general terms. Have we seen the death of the mid-major?
Well, it's starting to look like that. We need a little more data, but let's deal in reality, all right? We're basically the 3rd year of the transfer portal, and it gets bigger and bigger every year, where if you're a good mid-major player, now you can get paid at a higher level. Well, you're going to go to a higher level and get paid. So what's happened is all the talent is now gone to the power leagues, and it was just a question of when they were going to completely dominate the tournament, and this year they did. When your only double-digit seed, your Cinderella, is Arkansas, we got problems, right? So 7 from the SEC, 4 from the Big Ten, 4 for the Big 12, and Duke. That's your teams, right? I mean, the ACC was terrible, but obviously Duke is really good, probably the favorite to win the tournament at this point. So, yeah, I don't want to say it's the death of Anthony, but if you think about it, what are the chances of having these teams with 5 seniors who have played 125 games together, coming up against a team of freshmen with talent that don't really know what they're doing? Those are the teams that would have upsets in the tournament, the 5-12, the 6-11 game that
George Masons,
right? Those teams
VCUs,
we love, right? They actually made the Final Four, the Butlers of the world, making 2 national championships, coming out of the Horizon League back then. Yeah, I don't see how that happens again. It's unfortunate because that was part of the allure of the tournament, but the Sweet 16 typically 13 or 14 of those teams were power teams anyway. Now it happens to be a whole 16. And these are when the games get much better because these are the guys you're going to see in the NBA next year and beyond. The talent level is just is huge, and now that they've been able to accumulate all this talent on the same team, you don't need to recruit them out of high school. This is no longer Jay Wright's Villanova world where you can redshirt Dante DiVincenzo and Mikal Bridges and have them play in your program for 4 or even 5 years. That's out. That's not redshirt's not even a term anymore.
No,
it's just not. So yeah, it's all changed. Not for the better. I wish it would be the way it was, but you got to deal with the way it is, and that's how it is.
So and you were just quoting Pitino, your friend. When he was saying, I don't recruit high school kids.
No.
I'm going to go build my team through the portal, right? And he'll go cherry pick, and he knows what he's looking for in a player.
Yep.
An ascending player. You can still have a couple years with him. He's going to pay them. But they're going to be a team that he's going to put together, and they're going to be older, and they're not going to be kids.
Yeah, last year he got Kadari Richmond from Seton Hall. Seton Hall has no budget. They went from like a factor in the Big East to no factor because they got no money. And Rick has Mike Rapoli, who was the vitamin water guy, owns a ton of really good racehorses. He's bankrolling almost all of it. And Mike is a St. John's grad. He grew up in Queens, and or Brooklyn, and he wants to be St. John's to be great. And just yesterday, they got a commitment in the portal from the top freshman at Arizona State, who was the freshman of the year in the Big 12. He's going to St. John's.
Yeah.
And, Bob Hurley's out there trying to do something at Arizona State. He's probably going to get fired next year because he can't. They don't have that kind of budget for basketball. They're all in on football. They did great. They made the football playoff. That's actually one of the good things about being in the Big East, Anthony, is that there is no football budget, football money to share with. So if you get people that want to support you, like at St. John's and here at Villanova, they're certainly going to support the program. You can do things that even some of the football schools can't do because almost all the money at these football schools is going to football.
Well, it's fascinating, too, because the SEC basically got together and said, all right, we got to get basketball.
Yep.
How are we going to get basketball? We got football. How are we going to get basketball? And they were like, all right, we'll just throw money at it because we got all the money in the world.
Yep.
Because they're football powerhouse. They generate tons of revenue. And therefore, you look at this tournament, and it's SEC heavy.
Yeah, it is. And look, they do have it's who's got television money, first of all. Big Ten and the SEC have the bulk. I mean, they're basically running college sports now, those two conferences. And there's going to come a time, Anthony, we've talked about this, where they're going to look for the next revenue stream. Well, what is the next revenue stream? Well, it's the men's basketball tournament, which is now run by the NCAA. They're the middleman. 95% of the NCAA's operating budget comes from the television contract for the men's basketball tournament.
Wow.
At some point, these conferences are going to say, well, wait a second, why are we paying the middleman? We're the one producing the players, the athletes. We're producing the product. Why are we paying you to administer the tournament? We can do that. They administer the college football playoff.
Yeah.
They run that. They get all the money. So and when that happens, and it's a when, not if, unfortunately, then St. Joe's, LaSalle, Penn, think of any small school you want, even Temple, unfortunately, because of the league they're in, they're liable to just be pushed out completely and have no shot at the tournament.
See, I think it's inevitable. As much as it sucks, I think it's inevitable.
Yep.
And what I see is two divisions where you're going to have, all the monsters. Like if you look at college football, and you're right, SEC, the Big Ten are it, and they're almost like the AFC and the NFC.
It's a good way to look at it.
So at some point, that's what they become, right? They swallow the ACC up. They swallow the Big 12 up. And there you have it, right? You have your divisions. So everything makes sense from a geographical standpoint. So, because the travel is ridiculous, right? Like, you got UCLA coming to Rutgers. Like, it's insane.
Silly. Yeah, it's silly.
But they'll fix the divisions. And each conference will have divisions. And then everybody left over will form their own secondary league.
Right.
And then I think you'll actually have something like a relegation that they do in European soccer.
That could happen.
You go up and down, right?
Because look, there's no longer. There was always this pretense of amateurism. It was always a fraud.
Right.
I mean, we all knew it was a fraud. All those who covered it. But now it's out in the open. Nobody's trying to. There's no pretense. Everybody's getting paid. I mean, look, the players should have always been paid. Now it's just chaos because there's just there's nobody in charge of anything.
There's no rules.
There's zero rules. It's not like, it's not, professional sports has rules. Players can get paid, but there are rules involved, right? There are caps, there are things you can do. There's nothing in college sports. And again, that's on the governing body, which blew it. When there was a chance to do something, they kept saying, well, this will never happen. Players will never get paid. Of course, they lost every lawsuit. That's like the greatest bet in sports, bet against the NCAA and whatever lawsuit they're in. They're 0 for life.
Yeah, you can lay.
They never win.
You can lay it. Whatever. It's the truth. You can almost see the two leagues, right? Like, do you have a major and a minor, however you term it. But there's a lot of programs, right? Like, so, your Tulanes, like that league that Temple's in.
Yeah, the American is just, where are they going to go?
Right. They have to form their own stuff.
Yeah, that's sort of how it's going to have to happen. And look, Temple hasn't been a factor in basketball since they went to the American. Look, Fran Dumpy had done great after Coach Chaney was there. They won the Atlantic 10 3 years in a row. But when they went there and the travel became different, there's no rivalries, there's just no interest. And look, Adam Fisher's a good buddy of mine, and he's done well. I
love Adam. I love Fish.
He was doing really well this year if Jamal Mashburn doesn't get hurt.
Yes.
They would have won a ton more games. So he's I've known him since he was a student manager at Penn State. So I've known him forever. He's a Bucks County guy. He's the right guy, but it's just a harder spot than it's ever been. And look, there people want to go back to the days of Coach Chaney and then Dump, and that's just not reality anymore. Yeah. Like, it's not reality that Villanova's ever going to go back to the 10-year run that Jay Wright had, which was insane when they were averaging 30 wins a year.
No.
Like every year.
No.
It was nuts.
It's impossible.
That's not going to happen.
It's funny, quick aside, Coach Fish. So I'm preparing for my championship game in the middle school 6th grade Catholic League New Jersey championship.
Yep.
So I text Fish. I go, my inbounds plays are a little stale. So
he sent you a couple of inbounds?
Yes.
Baseline inbounds?
Yes.
I love it. That's tremendous.
Oh, it was great. I know I was going to make him laugh. He made me cracking up. It was funny. I love that dude.
Yeah, Fish is great.
I just wish, like, I don't know what you do, and I've put a lot of thought into this. Like, do you, in this secondary league, do you have all the Philly schools together, kind of form your own, like East Coast, right?
Yeah.
Where you're going to form your own.
Well, part of it, Anthony, the problem is Temple's, for reasons not only to them, wants to play football.
I know.
And if you want to play football, there's certain leagues you need to be in to get a chance to play football. But look, that's not going to work. And I've said this, I actually said this the night of the game. So it's going to be 10 years ago this Halloween when they played Notre Dame on national TV. They're undefeated. And they led deep into the fourth quarter.
Yes.
Notre Dame scored pretty late to win the game.
Yes.
And I said
there was a drop ball in the end.
I said to Mike Kern at the time, I said, you know what they should have done? When they had that lead late in the fourth, take a picture of the scoreboard, walk off the field, drop football.
Yeah.
We win.
Very quick. Well,
because it was never never going to get better than that moment.
And in that moment, I remember, they go down and beat Navy, if you remember, and to win the league.
Yep.
And I remember the weekend of that game, Matt gets the call, right? So Matt could go wherever he wants.
Sure. You knew he wasn't going to. There's no chance.
No, it was Oregon. It was Baylor.
Right.
And listen, I talked to Matt earlier this week. We stay in touch. He was like, dude, I remember talking to him, like, we went to the South Philly tap room, had a couple beers. And he's like, oh, I don't want to leave. I'm like, you got to leave.
You got to go, right.
You just got to do it.
You did what you did. You made yourself a commodity.
Yeah.
Cash in, my man. That's how the world works.
It is.
That's how it happens.
It's a shame, but you're right. Like, and I don't know how you can actually revitalize. And I love it. I went there. I don't know how you revitalize Temple football. I just don't.
I think it was a miracle what first Al Golden did, because Al's the guy that turned it in the right direction, and then Matt obviously took it to a level it hadn't been in decades.
Ever.
You go back to Wayne Harden, but that was a different time and a different sport when Temple had that kind of success. But they finally beat Penn State after not having beaten them in forever. But that's unfortunate. But it's hurting the basketball program because they're in the league that they're in.
I know.
It's making it very difficult for them to compete at the level that Temple once competed at. Certainly when Coach Chaney was there. I mean, they were a national program.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they were on TV all the time.
Yeah.
And making deep runs to the Final Eight 5 different times under my man John Chaney.
I miss it to this day.
As do I. One of my favorite. He'd be right. You see, name the top 5 people you've ever dealt with in sports. He'd be on the list.
I mean, what a brilliant guy.
Wonderful man.
He was. He was.
Stories never end.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we were all disappointed that he never got to the Final Four to do that Friday press conference where he'd still be talking when the game started on Saturday. He'd still be talking at the press conference, telling stories.
Right.
Yeah, we all wanted because we knew.
Yeah.
But a lot of people didn't. They'd never been exposed to.
I know.
The Philadelphia treasure.
He was the greatest.
No doubt.
It's so sad. When I think about it, I think about him, man. He should have got to the Final Four. Those games, I remember the Duke game.
Well, it was always Duke or North Carolina or Michigan State. It wasn't like he ever got. He never got McNeese State in the Elite Eight.
No, he never caught a break.
No, he always
never caught a break.
I think he got Duke twice, North Carolina, Michigan State, and the Fab Five at Michigan.
Yes,
those were the 5 that he caught in the Elite Eight.
And they were good. I mean, the one game, the one year was 91. I mean, they were really good. I mean, people forget, like, UNLV would come here.
Oh, absolutely.
When Tarkanian was there.
Yeah, Michigan State came here with Izzo the year they won the championship. They played Temple early in the season, lost to them.
Yeah.
Pepe Sanchez hit a free throw to win the game.
Do you remember the games you covered them at the Spectrum?
Sure.
Like the UNLV?
Sure. Everybody come in. I mean, John was he was so far ahead of his time. He'd play anybody anywhere as long as it was on TV.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's getting guys like Mark Macon coming in from Michigan. They would have never seen Temple otherwise.
Never.
Eddie Jones from Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't coming to Temple. They saw him on TV.
He was legendary, man.
Yes, he was.
Hey, it's funny we're in this conversation. I miss it. Let me ask you a debate question. Did I bring up the Cooper flag thing to you?
Not yet. I haven't.
Okay.
No. What you got?
All right. So I had a little debate with somebody, and we're going to get into the games, I promise.
Yep.
Because I know you're dying for picks. We're going to analyze it all. But I was having this conversation because we're talking about the future of college. I love college sports. I love college football. I love college basketball. I love the whole thing. And I keep thinking about the NIL and how do you make it good, right? Because it's not all bad what's happening. Like the level of basketball in this tournament is really good.
Well, yeah, again, because you're getting more good players on teams than before.
Right.
Because you couldn't have gotten all these good players before. They would have been more spread out.
And you're staying. Like you get
right. There's a reason to stay. Like the really good college player who's not quite good enough for the NBA. Now there's an incentive to stay, which was not there before.
And even if you think that, you know what, I can get better and improve my draft status.
Sure.
I'll come back
and get $1 million or $2 million or whatever the number is. Sure. Oh, absolutely.
So let's take the best player in college basketball, Cooper Flag. Consensus all number one overall pick. If Gatorade, pick your brand, State Farm, whatever, Capital One, goes to Cooper Flag and says, hey, Coop, we want to give you $200 million. You got to stay.
Yep. To be our spokesperson.
You're going to be Mr. March.
Yeah. Like Caitlin Clark was for State Farm. Or,
Right?
Yeah.
$200 million.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do it?
Well, you would. Yeah, then you would stay. Then there's the incentive to stay. You take out an insurance policy on your NBA possibilities if you get hurt. Yeah, that's a fascinating thought. I hadn't thought about it, but it makes a lot of sense. And some company may say, I mean, look, how marketable was Caitlin Clark? Incredibly marketable. I'm surprised she went to the WNBA because I thought she might have been worth more in college.
Yes.
Because she could have played for another season.
Definitely.
I think she just wanted to go test herself against better players, which is fine. But that's a great point. We'll see if somebody does it, and Cooper Flag would be the perfect guy. It's the marquee program in college basketball, and he's the marquee guy. And you know what? The Sixers will probably get the number one pick this year. And Cooper Flack said, I think I'll go back to Duke.
Yeah, I'm going back to Sixers. Nah, I'm going to Duke. I don't want to go to
It's
Sixers.
like when Tim Duncan was coming out of Wake Forest. I think I'll stay an extra year.
Yeah, I'm going back to Wake. But, like, when you think about it,
it's a very good point.
There is he does a commercial now where they're playing bingo. Mm-hmm. And he's good.
No, he's very good.
Like, he's got a little pop.
He definitely does.
Like, if I'm, you know, and again, you could stack 3 or 4 of these things together.
Yeah.
And you're making bank. That's why these quarterbacks are staying in college, too, by the way.
And think about this, too. He could be doing that, or he could be losing 60 games with the Wizards next year.
Right.
In front of 8 people.
Yes.
Even though he's making a lot of money, there was no joy in it.
No. It's dead.
Right.
There's no energy.
Yeah.
Right? Here, it's student body. By the way, college is fun. You and I spent a lot of time on college campuses.
Absolutely. And
it's a great time.
And if I was, again, if college basketball was run as a business instead of by the NCAA with some of their stupid rules, I would do it like, I go, you know what? If you don't like where you're drafted, come on back.
Yeah.
Some team will go crazy.
Yeah.
But, they could hold the draft rights. That's fine. But if you don't want to go there now, don't go.
Don't go.
Come back and play with us.
Yeah.
But, right now, once you declare that's it, that's just stupid.
I
Forget
agree.
that. They're already getting paid.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah.
What's the difference where they go, I don't like this team.
Yeah.
I'm not going. I'll come play with you.
I'm with you.
I would change the rules and do that because it's going to make your sport better.
It will. It's like in football, the quarterbacks, you might as well stay, get better. And quarterbacks are getting banked.
Yeah, the kid, Drew Aller, getting, I heard like $3 million at Penn State. I don't know if that's the right number or not.
Yeah.
But, I don't know where he would have been picked in the draft, but why not take the money and possibly improve your draft stock?
Exactly.
What the heck?
My man Dylan Raiola in Nebraska.
Sure.
He did a 5-year, $18 million contract.
Good for him, man.
18 months. You're coming out of it. Forget what happens. Like, you could bomb.
Sure, you're still getting 18, which is a pretty good start in life. That can get you to the finish line.
Right?
That can get you all the way.
You and I are coming out of college in debt, right? You're driving a cab.
I'm driving a cab that always ends up at the racetrack.
I'm working at the airport unloading bags. I mean, God bless.
And then we got it at the newspapers and made nothing.
Made less, yeah. That's true.
But we had a good time doing it.
Great time.
Yes,
I loved it.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, today we had Pat McClune on every Thursday. Pat comes on, and we always talk about it. DJ,
Pat couldn't have been anybody better to work with than Pat.
He's the best. All right, we're brought to you by the BetParx Sportsbook online casino app. We're here at Parx Casino, where the sportsbook's awesome. All the games are on. We were watching the Phillies, doing the whole thing. All the baseball's on. Tonight will be a great time to watch all the basketball, the great seating. There's great food. It's just a lot of great energy here at the sportsbook, and of course all throughout the casino. If you can't get here, you just download the app. All right, you could bet in-game. We were talking about that. We'll give you some strategy for in-game stuff. You name it, parlays and every teasers, whatever they got. Halftime, it's all there on the app. Futures, so who's going to win the tournament. And, of course, there's always another way to win, which is all the casino games, poker and roulette, live dealer, blackjack, craps, roulette, and all the hot online slots they got. I mean, you name it, all right? New customers, in fact, you get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down the first 24 hours. You got BetParx.com has all the details. You're going to be 21 in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, Maryland, Ohio. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's go through it. All right, the first game. Looking forward to this, my man. Tonight, BYU and Alabama gets started at 7:09 tonight.
That game is right up the street in Newark, New Jersey. Alabama's -5 at BetParx at the moment. And Anthony, this is a funny subplot here. Rutgers had these two great freshmen, right? Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper.
Yeah.
Well, there's two former Rutgers players playing in this game. Cliff Amore is the center for Alabama, and Mawat Mag is the defensive star for BYU.
Oh, my God.
They're both fifth-year guys who transferred out of Rutgers.
Is the kid Mag from Philly?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But yeah, he's the defensive stopper.
Yeah,
for
he's
BYU.
nasty.
So this is a fascinating game tonight. We're talking offense versus offense here, right? These are two of the best scoring teams in the country. This should be fun to watch.
Total's 175.5.
Yeah, I think this could easily go over. It's probably going to take 90 to win, I think. And neither one of these teams is particularly good at defense. Alabama's decent. Brigham Young is basically trying to outscore people at this point with Kevin Young. He's the first-year coach, came from the NBA, took Mark Pope's place, of course, is doing a great job at Kentucky. When you look at Brigham Young, Anthony, 37% from three. That's 28th best in the country. But what's interesting, inside that number, they're 58% on twos. So they can do both. Alabama is not a great three-point shooting team, although they'll shoot a bunch of them. They're at 35. That's good enough on the right night. But they shoot 60% on twos. You'll note some of these teams that put up a high volume of threes because teams are coming out trying to play the line. And the Jay Wright's teams were like this. They were great inside because there wasn't much defense in there. Everybody was trying to charge out to stop your three-point shooting.
That's a great point.
So that's why it's going to be fun tonight. Brigham Young actually gets 39% of their points on three-pointers. That's a huge number.
Wow.
So we'll see how it plays out tonight. But I like the dog here. I like Brigham Young +5. Whenever it's going to be a real high-scoring game, I typically want to take the dog in that game. And Alabama, to me, when I watch them this year, I don't think they're quite as good as that Final Four team last year. I think they're missing a couple parts that they had. And they've just had too many games, Anthony, where they've given up in the 90s, the 100s. And Brigham Young can really score. It's a fascinating game. But, yeah, I'll take the Cougars +5.
It's interesting because Bama, Sears, you like.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Like,
absolutely.
they got some nice players. But your point's correct. Like, they don't play defense. Like, they don't. No rim protector.
They really don't. Now, keep in mind, a lot of their non-playing defense was in the SEC, right? Which is really good. So the question is, does Brigham Young have that kind of talent? Here's what they do. They don't have the athletes, but they got the skill. This is skill versus athlete/skill with Alabama. But Brigham Young is an incredibly skilled team, and they run, and people watch it tonight. Kevin Young brought a lot of that NBA stuff with him. They run some great stuff out there. It's fun to watch. And, I watched their last tournament game. I mean, they could not have been any more impressive to me in that game. And, look, they're in the Big 12, which is a brutal league. I mean, there's so many good teams in the league.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I think BYU has a chance. But it should be an incredibly entertaining game tonight in Newark.
All right, Maryland and Florida, your alma mater, by the way.
Yes.
He's a Terp. My main man is a Terp. Curious, I love Florida, the game.
Yep.
And you keep waiting for him to wake up. Now, the only thing that they looked a little bit off, and again, it's St. John's that really, kind of stressed them.
No question.
Right?
Yeah, and Florida looked stressed for a lot of the game Sunday.
It felt like ball pressure got to them.
Yeah, look, UConn's a hard team to guard just because of all the stuff they run. Remember I sent you that video last year? I mean, two-time national champions. The difference is they just didn't have the same talent that they had the previous 2 years. But you know what that does do? It tires you out on offense, even though you're thinking, well, you're playing defense, but that gets you. And I thought Florida looked, and they also looked like, oh my God, we're the 1 seed and we're behind, and we might not win. But then Walter Clayton Jr. just bailed them out. He's a sensational college player.
Coming up,
got those 2 threes.
I meant UConn. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was tremendous.
He stepped up and he buried. You and I were texting during that game.
Yep. I thought they were in trouble the whole game, and they looked a little like their eyes were a little glazed, looked a little like St. John's the day before, but Clayton bailed them out.
He did.
Yeah, he won the game for him. He's not there. They would have lost by 10. And if UConn could have made any open shots in the first half, that game would have been over. But that's the problem. The plays are still great. The players just aren't as good as they were the last 2 years. The Maryland, Florida, so there's all kind of things going on with Maryland, right? Their coach it sounds like he's coming to Villanova. That's what it sounds like. They haven't made the announcement yet.
Right.
It's not like Will Wade said, I'm going to NC State. But if Villanova hasn't gotten anybody up to this point, well, they're clearly targeting somebody who's still playing, when the only possibility is Kevin Willard. If you look around the other 15, I mean, they're not getting John Shire. He's not leaving Duke. So it's a bizarre situation in Maryland that their coach, who made his first ever Sweet 16 on what was essentially a miracle shot at the end when they got outplayed and, frankly, outcoached on Sunday night against Colorado State. So how's the team going to react to the fact that they know the coach is gone? I would say if this is the old days, not well. But the reality is the whole team might be gone anyway. So what do they care? So just go play.
Go out and ball out.
Yeah, at BetParx, Florida -6.5. That's a great number. Florida's second in the country, offensive efficiency, great on two-point shots again. Difference between Maryland this year and in previous years, they were a hideous three-point shooting team. They got some great portal recruits, 37.5%. And Derek Queen, it was interesting. Stan Van Gundy made a point about him. I hadn't really thought about this. He reminded me, you remember Jeff Green, who played in the league forever, played at Georgetown?
Yeah.
That's kind of who Derek Queen reminds me of. He sees everything, just really sharp. He'll have a long NBA career. He's not a super athlete, but just a really smart player. Well, Stan Van Gundy threw out Jokic today. As in not a great athlete, but does all these little things. I'm not going Jokic, but it was
Jokic. I don't see that.
Right. I mean, that's a different world we're talking about. But Derek Queen makes all the players better. That shot that he made, frankly, again, it was how badly they were outcoached. So they're up 2 late in the game. They have a foul to give. Maryland, I'm talking about, against Colorado State. They're the better team. Well, the only thing you can't do there is give up a 3. So not only did they not take the foul from the coach Villanova was about to hire, they give up an open 3. And then it gets worse. They give Derek Queen the ball on the left side of the lane. He's a right-handed player. He goes left, makes this impossible shot with his right hand, and made it look easy, as it turned out. But like it was a mess.
I know.
It was almost like he wanted to go to Villanova on Monday.
Yeah.
It was like, what are you doing? It was bizarre. But, yeah,
I didn't know why he didn't foul.
that made no sense.
I mean, I got to tell you.
What are you doing? You got a foul to give.
I mean,
let's give up a 3. That's the only thing you can't do. Go to overtime. That's the worst that happens.
like what's game? It was Oregon, Arizona, which was coached correctly.
Yes. No. It kept giving fouls, and eventually the clock ran out. I watched the game the other night, NIT quarterfinal game. My man Dan Earl from South Jersey, Penn State grad, is coaching Chattanooga now. They're in the quarterfinals at Bradley. They take a late lead by 3. They make a 3, and there's I want to say 12 seconds left. Well, they run the clock down till there's 4, and then they foul. So they only had to foul once.
Right.
They made the first, missed the second on purpose. They got the rebound, went down the other end of the court. The other team had no timeouts. They missed the free throw, game over. But, Maryland did it exactly backwards.
I mean, listen, I did it in my grade school. We had a lead with 13 seconds to go, right? We had the lead. It was 13 seconds to go, and we had a bunch of fouls to give, right?
Sure.
So I'm like, listen, guys.
Yep.
Start fouling. When I say it, do it.
Yeah.
And let a couple ticks off and then foul.
Yeah.
And then
you can run the game.
The game's over.
I did one thing years ago, not exactly in the spirit of the rules, but I was trying to win the game. There was a rule that you couldn't press in the backcourt.
Yeah.
So I had 4 timeouts left, and there were 30 seconds left in the game. So I threw it in the backcourt, counted to 9, called timeout, and did that 3 times.
That's genius. That's genius. I love that.
The other coach was not pleased, but I felt bad for him. But I was trying to win the game.
I don't blame you. Whatever you got to do to win it. So it sounds like you kind of like Florida. You like Maryland a little bit in this game.
Look, I think Maryland certainly has a chance in this game. They have the right players. The issue is very simple. They have no bench. Florida's very deep. If Maryland gets in foul trouble, and Florida can get you in foul trouble because of how big they are, they want to throw the ball to the rim, that would be my concern. If Maryland's in foul trouble, especially front court foul trouble, Queen or Reese, they're dead meat. They can't win the game. So I would lean to Florida giving the 6.5. Not a game I'm in love with. And Maryland's probably going to have to shoot like probably make 10 threes and shoot in the 40% range to have a chance to win the game.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because they don't run the offense that Connecticut runs. Nobody does. Connecticut is the most intricate offense I've ever seen in college basketball. They don't have that kind of thing. They're basically trying to out-athlete you. They're not doing that against Florida. And again, they just can't get in foul trouble because they have no bench, zero.
All right, and then the third game tonight, 9:39 Eastern, Arizona and Duke. Duke a 9.5-point favorite.
So they actually played on November 22nd in Tucson at the McHale Center. For what it's worth, Duke won 69-55. Keep that in mind. Obviously, different teams. Here's Duke's profile at this stage. Their numbers, it's 2018 Villanova.
That's great. Wow.
3-point percentage, 38, 17th in the country. 2-point percentage, 58.5. That's 5th in the country. Free throws, 78.5, 16. They're in the top 20 in all three. You rarely see that.
Yeah.
Villanova was in the top 20 in all three. That team with Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges just
rolled through everybody.
Just annihilated everybody.
Oklahoma State.
And it's Duke with really good defense.
Buddy Hield.
That was the 16 team.
Okay.
The 18 team beat Michigan in the finals.
Right.
They had they waxed Kansas in the semis.
That's right. They crushed Kansas.
They basically crushed everybody.
Yeah.
They were awesome. So was the 16 team, by the way. They had two close games, the championship game and the regional final against Kansas. So Duke is also really good in defense. I mean, like really good, top 5 in defense. We mentioned Cooper Flagg. He isn't the only guy they got. They got shooters all over the place.
Proctor coming alive. I mean,
he played great in the tournament. Arizona offensively, I think, is a factor. They can score, but Caleb Love could be 10 for 10 or 0 for 10. You just don't know. If it's a bad Caleb Love, they got no shot. Arizona's biggest problem is how they're going to stop Duke from scoring, and the answer is I don't think they are.
Right.
Therefore, I'm not a big fan of giving 9.5, but I looked up all of Duke's scores this year in the games that they won, Anthony. They've had, when they had their whole team, right, everybody there, they had 3 games that they won were not double-digit wins.
Wow.
It was a blowout season for them.
Wow.
They're averaging beating teams by more than 20 points per game. And nothing changed in the tournament. 93-49 over Mount St. Mary's, 89-66 over Baylor. And that Baylor game, and I said to you, I thought Baylor had some chance. They had no chance, as it turned out.
I got something for you. I'll throw at you because this play I like. Here it is. So Duke total team total is 82.5.
Yeah, I like over. Yeah,
right?
I really do. Because look, I mean, you just look at some of their totals through the year, and Arizona. Tommy Lloyd's a fun guy. I like how he coaches, but they're trying to outscore teams. That's how they play. They ain't slowing it down. They're not going to slow it down tonight. They're going to go play. They're quick. Like, let's see, on the possessions, they're at 70 possessions a game. That's 50th in the country. They can't.
I mean, we saw it against Oregon.
And Oregon. I mean, that's a game they got way behind. Then they should have won easily. They did just 3 or 4 stupid things toward the end. They fouled at the right time.
Yeah.
But a couple things that got that game closer. Duke will not play super fast, but they'll play fast enough, and they're probably going to foul them. And if you get to the bonus early, then that's when it's over totals, and you start shooting a lot of free throws. That's how you get over totals.
Yeah.
I do like the over on Duke. That's a good play.
So the fourth game is a really interesting game. Calipari and his Cinderella Arkansas Razorbacks taking on Texas Tech.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking. This is like NBA light here. Athletes all over the court on
Texas
both
Tech
teams.
Is good. I like Texas
very
Tech.
Good. Third in the Big 12. I'm a big Grant McCausland fan. He's just one of those guys that needed a chance at this level. He's proved it. His coaching staff is terrific. 37% on threes, Anthony. That's 31. That's their big edge tonight. Arkansas is only 32%. They're 246. And look, I know they beat St. John's, and they did play well at the end of the year. I thought St. John's lost the game, more so than Arkansas won it. Look, they were there. They did enough right things. They're incredibly athletic. It's going to be fun. You can stay up tonight late for the San Francisco game. Do it, because it's going to be fun if you can't just DVR it and watch it in the morning, because there will be action. I was impressed with a lot of what I saw from Arkansas. And the one good thing Calipari's doing, because they can't shoot threes, Anthony, they don't shoot very many of them. They try to get to the rim. I'm taking one dog and 3 favorites tonight. I'm taking BYU. I like Texas Tech in this game. My guess is Arkansas just won their national tournament last week.
Yeah.
In Providence.
Yeah.
Nobody thought they were beating St. John's, including me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the only one. They've had a good end to their season, and it's not like they don't have talent. I mean, these guys are all high school All-Americans, and I'm not sure about the one kid who hasn't played in a couple of weeks, whether he's coming back or not. I just haven't read whether he's going to make it or not. If he does, that gives him one more player.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech, I think the game can get away from Arkansas. I don't think they have enough firepower to stay with them.
I think that's the issue. I just don't think if they get – look, they got – last week was so bizarre. Each team made 2 threes.
Yeah.
It was just St. John's again. I felt so bad for him. I felt bad for Rick because he could see that not just R.J. Lewis, but everybody but Etchefor, they couldn't even make a layup.
Yeah.
You could see the burden of being in that spot got to those guys for the first time all season, and it happens to teams in the tournament because, like, if you lose, your season ends and you see stuff flashing before your eyes. But hard game to coach. But yeah, I thought I was impressed with Arkansas's athleticism. I just don't think skill-wise they're going to be as good as Texas Tech tonight. And Texas Tech's been the much more consistent team. And as good as the SEC was, Arkansas really wasn't a factor in the SEC.
No.
Texas Tech was a major factor in a really good Big 12.
In a great league. That's what I'm thinking, man. I love Texas Tech tonight. I do. All right, so there you go. Dick's taking one dog.
Yep.
BYU.
Yep.
And then he's going to go Florida, Duke, and Duke over the team total. That's my play.
Yeah, I love that play.
And Texas Tech. We both love Texas Tech. And there you go. Duke and Dick's showing you his work. All right. Let's now go to
Atlanta tomorrow night, Michigan State,
yeah,
Ole Miss.
Our man was just texting us. I just want to make sure that that there's no
no issues.
Yeah. All right, we're all good. All right. Ole Miss, Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I loved the Ole Miss the other day because I just think I love guard play.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, I like him again. I like him again here in this spot. I know people go Izzo and the whole thing,
sure,
but they're older players. They have a veteran backcourt. They play defense. They can shoot the ball. They got, if you remember, against Iowa State, they fell behind early.
Yep.
And there was no panic.
Then they just rolled it.
Yeah.
Look, Chris Beard was in the championship game with Texas Tech a couple years ago. Was doing well at Texas, and the thing happened, and he got blown up. He's a hell of a coach, clearly. And Ole Miss was a factor in the SEC, the best league in the country. No argument there. Now I obviously see the Big Ten doing the Penn State games. This might be his greatest coaching job. This is a team of role players. To get them to win the Big Ten by 3 games, to be to the Sweet 16 is an incredible accomplishment. I think it's coming to an end tomorrow night. I like Ole Miss plus the 3.5 in this game. That's what it is at Parx. Michigan State's Achilles heel is they can't shoot.
Right.
31% on threes. But here's why they've been able to win despite that, Anthony. As bad as their three-point shooting is, 3-point defense, they hold teams to 28%. That's 1 in the country.
Wow.
So even though they can't score from there, they don't let you score.
Right.
They're deep. They wear teams out just because he plays 10 guys. They have some athletes. But I think Ole Miss can go up against them with athletes. And the other concern I would have tomorrow night for Michigan State.
They have penetrators, too.
They do. And I think you can beat Michigan State off the bounce. I don't like Michigan State's big guys at all.
No.
I try to be kind to them, but they're just kind of guys. They set screens and try not to do anything bad, make layups if you have them. Michigan State has a tendency in the wrong spot to turn it over. Ole Miss never turns it over. They're one of the best teams in the country at fewest turnovers. That's a number to look for tomorrow night. If Michigan State's throwing the ball around, Ole Miss will win the game. I've been playing against Michigan State forever. I'm waiting for the right opponent. Look, they got fortunate. Nothing against Richard Pitino in New Mexico. He did a great job. But if New Mexico could have made any shots, they would have won that game.
Yes.
They got the Mountain West. The Big Ten was very fortunate.
Yeah.
They got 2 Mountain West and a McNeese State in the round of 32.
Yeah.
That's why they got 3.
Yeah.
3. That's how 3 other 4 teams got through. Michigan got through with a great win over Texas A&M. So yeah, I'm taking Ole Miss plus the 3.5 in Atlanta in the South.
We both love them. I think they win the game outright. This has got the makes of a great game, man. Kentucky, Tennessee. Tennessee 4.5. Kentucky beat them twice.
Yep.
In the regular season.
This is offense, defense, right? Kentucky's got one of the best offenses in the country, and Tennessee historically has great defense. Nothing has changed this year. Tennessee's another team that's great on three-point defense. Teams only shoot 28% against them,
Wow.
just a little above Michigan State's number. And that's Kentucky's strength, 37%. And now that Kentucky got Butler back, Lamont Butler, that's a different team. So forget how they finished the regular season. They're much better with Butler. They got the best shooter in the country in Kobe Bryant. They got the kid from Drexel, Amari Williams, who's going to have a long NBA career because he can block shots and rebound.
Yeah.
If he could make a layup, he'd really be dangerous.
What an athlete.
And it's the old, all right, well, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. See, that's complete nonsense. If a team's beaten a team twice, that probably means they're better than they are. I love when they say, well, you can't beat a team 3 times. Well, actually, you can. And I mean, 2 years ago, Penn State pulverized Illinois twice in the regular season. They got Illinois in the Big Ten. I said, this is awesome. Well, they beat them again. So I like Kentucky plus the 4.5. And the game is in Indianapolis. It ain't real far from Lexington.
Right.
It's a real short drive up from the Commonwealth. They're going to have a ton of fans in the building tomorrow night.
What did Kentucky do in the first 2 games?
They beat Troy 76.
No. Against Tennessee.
They shot it from 3. They were one of the teams that was able. They went and they scored in both games. They got into the mid 70s, 78 at Knoxville, and then 75 at Rupp. And if you're getting into the mid 70s, that's too big of a number for Tennessee.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to score enough. And I don't think Rick Barnes has gotten a handle yet on how Mark Pope runs stuff. And it's different. It was cool at BYU. It's better with Kentucky, at Kentucky with better players. And when I see a defense versus offense, I typically like an offensive team in a tournament because you just don't have that much time to get ready. Even though they've seen them twice, I think it's pretty clear they haven't figured it out.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's interesting. So you got Kentucky. Do you think they win the game again?
I do. I think they're going to win. And it's interesting too because all the Kentucky fans, how Cal did a great job down there. He was awesome. But now they hate him because he left. Right? That's just how this works. So all they want to do is last longer than Arkansas. So they'll be pulling against Arkansas tonight, and then if Mark Pope can get him to the 8s and he loses to Houston, fine. He's still good. He got farther than Calipari. They'll be happy.
All right. And then you got the 2 late games, 9:39 tomorrow night. Michigan and Auburn. Michigan has been a mystery. I don't know how they're here. I know they got their bigs. I don't like that team. I don't know. I think it comes to an end, but I didn't expect them to be here now.
Now, it's astonishing. This is a stat I've never seen before. Anthony, since January 16th, Michigan has played 12 games decided by 4 points or less.
Oh, my God.
And they've won them all.
Oh, my God.
What are the odds? I mean, that's got to be like a bazillion to 1. I was there for one of them. Penn State had them beat, and they scored like the last 9 points. They did it over and over again. They beat UC San Diego. They held on to win that game. And I'm thinking, well, that's it. And they were great against Texas A&M.
Great.
They were phenomenal.
They were great.
They put up 91, as you talked about, the 2 bigs, right? Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf. Danny, the transfer from Yale. Golden was at Florida Atlantic with the coach, with Dusty May. And the backcourt, and when I saw them live, I didn't really like them, but they've gotten better. But having said all that, I just don't see it. I really don't.
I don't either.
I don't have a strong opinion on the game because the number is really high to me.
Yeah, 9 is a lot.
But Michigan is one of the worst turnover teams in the country. they turn it over on 20% of their possessions. That's 324. If they do that, they're going to get run. Now, Auburn has not been as sharp the last couple of weeks as they were during the season. Alabama State, they win by 20, fine. But that means nothing. Creighton, they win by 12. They didn't look great doing it, but Creighton's a good team. They can make you look bad. I don't have a strong opinion. I don't really have a play here, but I would not want to give 9.
Yeah, it feels like it's a lot of points.
To
Number.
To a team that can score like Michigan can. Michigan's offense is good. Their defense is pretty good. And they have a team, again, they do something that nobody does. They play 2 7-footers. And Wolf is such a great passer. They play off each other. But I think athlete to athlete, this is a mismatch. And if Auburn is making threes, and they're pretty good from 3, they're almost 37%. If they make like 12 threes, 10 to 12 threes, shoot a high percentage, they're not going to lose. But I got no play for you in this game.
Yeah, I don't fit. By the way, 3-3 Phillies, and they just left the bases loaded.
In the top of the 9th.
Look at that. Oh, wait. Yeah.
Top of the 9th.
Yeah, Stott flies out the center with the bases loaded. It was 3-1, and they lost.
So Washington got too late in the 8th inning against whoever's the Phillies bullpen this
year. The new closer.
I don't know who that is yet.
Yeah, Jordan Romano. Yeah, no good.
The one guy I hated for them to lose last year, Anthony, of all the guys, I think Sir Anthony still has some upside to him. I know he's in Baltimore. I do. Yeah. I just like his arm, but whatever. They wanted to get a left fielder. It turned out Hayes was hurt or sick or something. It's a shame.
Yeah.
I mean, I understood what they were trying to do at the time, but
real quick about the Auburn, like what Auburn has not looked
they
like
really
themselves over the last month.
Yeah,
beyond just this tournament.
No doubt. The end of the regular season, they didn't look great. They lose to Texas A&M by 11. They lose at home to Alabama in overtime. They get out in the second game at the SEC after beating Ole Miss by 5. They lose by 5 to Tennessee, and they just haven't looked sharp.
No, and
it's hard to look sharp because for the first 3 months of the season, they were clearly the best team in the country. I mean, they played like it. But it's hard to sustain that. Well, Bruce Pearl's a great tournament coach. He's been in the Final Four with Auburn a couple of years ago. He had great runs at Tennessee and other places where he's been. But they better find a way to recapture that. Now, the good news is they're in Atlanta. They're not far from their campus, so they haven't had to travel much. But, they need to find that again. I think the Big Ten, SEC, the SEC is clearly better. I mean, it's not particularly close. And this is not going to be an easy matchup for Michigan. But 9 that's just too big a number for me.
All right, in the final game, this is Purdue and Houston. Purdue, another team that you and I kind of don't like.
This is my bet of the weekend right here. This is the exact team Purdue can't handle. Hasn't been able to handle for years. The team that pressures the ball, that just blitzes every ball screen into oblivion and just makes point guards disappear. Braden Smith, who is a first-team All-American, has had a great career at Purdue. When he gets in against these kinds of teams, he is a turnover machine.
Yeah.
He was as a freshman.
Yeah.
He was at times during this season. Penn State made him look terrible when they pressured him back on December the 5th. So I love Houston in this game. I know it's in Indianapolis, fine. Purdue has some fans, but it's a dome. And Houston's they got the best defense in the country. They're awesome. Right. And this is Houston. You ready for this stat? This is actually kind of hard to believe. If you think of Kelvin Sampson's teams, you think great defense, right, but they can't shoot. They are the best three-point shooting team in the country, 39.8%, number 1.
Wow.
So you put that with this defense, this is clearly a team that can win it all. They gave them the worst of it. They should have sent them west.
Yeah.
They should have made Florida, which was the 4th overall number 1 seed, go to Indianapolis, but the committee doesn't really understand a lot of things. They don't get it. They wanted to put them closer to their campus. I'm sure airplanes get to San Francisco just from Houston, just like they do from Indianapolis. But anyway, they got the worst of it because potentially they're going to have to beat Purdue and Kentucky in Indianapolis. Not really fair to a number 1 overall seed, but that's what they did. Houston's defense is great. They won the Big 12 by 3 games. this is 2 years in a row. They've annihilated the Big 12, which is all these great teams.
I know.
And Purdue, the Big 10, I thought was average this year. I know they have 4 teams left, but we mentioned how they got there. Purdue can turn it over a lot. If they do, they got no shot. Purdue can shoot 38.5% from 3, but I don't think they're going to get a lot of open looks against this team.
This team's athletic.
Very athletic, and when you blot out Smith and Lawyer, which is exactly what UConn did in the championship game, they said, Edie, you can get 100. These guys aren't going to score, and they didn't.
Right.
And they're not going to let these guys shoot the ball.
Yeah.
And when he comes off that screen, and that's what he does, he's a great pick and roll player, he's not going to be able to see.
No.
Houston's height, and they're just going to blitz him. And how it's officiated will be interesting. But if Purdue doesn't get to the line a lot, 0 chance. I love Houston in this game. It's 8.5 at BetParx. That's a big number. It does not concern me. I think they're going to wear Purdue out and run them out.
Yeah, I like it. I love that game. I'm with you. Let's take a look a little bit at the regions and the brackets for a second. And so we're looking at the futures. So Duke, let's kind of go through it.
Yep.
If it's Duke and Alabama, or you actually have Duke and BYU.
I do have Duke and BYU. What's Duke to get out of the region? I mean, like even money or less?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't like even money, but that's the right play.
Right. Right.
I mean, they're a big favorite tonight. They're going to be, if it's Alabama, they'll probably be 6 or 7. If it's BYU, they'll be double digits.
Right.
So, yeah.
And the problem again is a BYU doesn't match up against them.
Athletically, they're going to be completely overmatched, and Duke has as much skill as they do.
Right.
And they're bigger. I mean, they're huge front line. They play, and Duke is one of the teams. Houston is like that. They're top 10 in offense and defense, and that's what you want at this stage. Like if your offense isn't good, you can hang in the game because your defense is so good.
That's right.
Those are the teams that win in the tournament. Anyway, that was UConn the last 2 years.
All right, so then let's go to the Midwest. All right, so we just talked about Houston.
Yep.
So let's say it's Houston and Kentucky, because that's what you like, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Houston's probably, depending obviously how the games play out, I would say Houston's probably 6 in that game over Kentucky would be my guess. I think Kentucky, if they win again, they're going to start to become a popular play.
Yeah.
And it's in Indianapolis, which would be a quasi-home game for the Wildcats. So I'd say 6. I give Kentucky a better chance than Purdue. I think Houston's going to win.
Yeah.
But I give Kentucky a better chance because they have the better personnel to play. They're a little bigger, a little stronger than Purdue. But having said that, to me, I think Houston and Duke are the best teams left in the tournament to me. And I'm not telling you anybody that nobody doesn't already know that. And they're playing the best.
Yes.
Houston had – look, I was impressed by Gonzaga because Houston had that game won the entire game it was Sunday night, I think. And Gonzaga got back and covered the spread late in the game. But Houston had the game under control the whole way. And Gonzaga played well. And Kentucky's kind of Gonzaga. That's kind of who they are.
Kentucky's Gonzaga. That's interesting. Let me ask you about this. All right, let's continue on. So Auburn, so if it's Auburn and
Ole Miss or Michigan State.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be Ole Miss, but.
Yeah, all SEC final to get to the championship game. Now, they just played, and they've obviously played several times during the year. Let's see how they did. In the tournament, Auburn 62-57, so Ole Miss got the score down. They lost at home to Auburn 92-82 on February 1st. That looks like the only game that they played now that you don't get to play everybody twice anymore in a lot of these leagues. So, 2-0 Auburn. But that was also when Auburn was drilling everybody. Right. I'd like to see these games tomorrow night before I tell you what
how
I think.
They look.
Yeah,
I mean,
right. If Ole Miss beats Michigan State, which is what you and I think is going to happen, and Auburn wins but doesn't look great again, I might lean toward Ole Miss plus the points.
Yeah.
in that spot because all the heat's going to be on Auburn.
Yeah.
Right? They're the team that was supposed to get there, and there's probably not a lot of difference there. And if it's Auburn, Michigan State, I can't like Auburn enough. I'm going to keep betting against Michigan State. They might win if they win the tournament, they'll win it without me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I
don't see it.
Because if it's Auburn and they look semi-decent, they have no chance.
I don't see, again, they have a team of role players. Jason Richardson's son has had a great back end of the season. He was brutal the other day, but said he might be an NBA player. But they don't have any other NBA players on the roster. And they're big guys. I mean, Cohen Carr's fun because he's a dunk machine, but that doesn't get you to the NBA. They got a lot of guys that can dunk, and their big guys are just, for want of a better word, slow and unathletic, and their guard play is just average.
Yeah, it's not
But
great.
again, they overwhelm you with numbers, which typically is not as big a deal in the NCAA tournament because of all the timeouts and how long they are, that you get these rests. I mean, most of these coaches, they don't even know what to say. They're talking for 3 minutes. They got nothing to say. Just, go play. So, yeah, I'll keep
go play.
I saw Michigan State live, and obviously I've seen him a lot this year. Again, Izzo he's already in the Hall of Fame. He should go back a second time for getting this team to win the Big Ten by that much and to get to the Sweet 16.
All right, so if it's Florida and Texas Tech, 'cause that's what we kind of look at. That has the chance to be the best game of the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I'm thinking Florida would probably be 4.5, 5 in that game.
I think Texas Tech is live.
I would like Texas Tech as a dog on Saturday.
Yeah.
If that's the matchup, and if it's Arkansas, I mean, I don't see any way Arkansas is beating Florida. That would shock me. And if it's Maryland, it's actually going to be funny because I think most people now understand that Kevin Willard is probably ready to take the Villanova job. So the Villanova people are going to be going nuts. The Maryland people are going to be going nuts. And that clearly Villanova is waiting on Maryland to lose.
Right.
I'm sure they were not happy when the Derek Queen shot went in on Sunday. They probably would have been introducing Kevin Willard on Monday or Tuesday, however fast he could get back from Seattle. But yeah, that's an interesting subplot out there if the Terps somehow beat Florida tonight, which I deem unlikely.
Yeah, I don't think it happens. Who do you see? Like, what do you see in the final?
So at this point, I've seen teams play up to this point. I think Texas Tech's going to get there from the West. I'll take them over Florida or Maryland, whoever it might be. Houston, I've liked all along. Duke, I've liked all along. And in the South, I hate to take all the ones, but I don't see. I'd like to hold off on that. If it's Auburn, Ole Miss, I think Ole Miss has a realistic shot in that game. Should Auburn get there? The good Auburn would get there. I just don't know what Auburn we're going to see at the moment. But the teams I'm most confident in are Houston and Duke. Yeah. Not that, again, I'm not telling anybody they don't know, but you know what? Even if you're on favorites, if you're locked in on them and you get even money or you can get a money line that's not outrageous, they'll still pay you. It's okay.
I mean, it's funny because, tonight, you know what the best way to play this thing, I think, tonight is if you did a Florida Texas Tech money line parlay.
I like that. Yeah, that could work. Yeah, and you get a decent number.
You'll get plus money.
Yeah, you definitely get a decent number. I'll tell you.
And if you did Florida, Duke, let's go on the BetParx app.
I'll give you a horse racing analogy, Anthony. There's a horse ran a couple years ago named Flightline. Fastest horse like in the 21st century. Just a complete freak. His last race, he was 44 cents on the dollar, meaning every dollar you bet, you win 44 cents. Okay. Which doesn't sound all that exciting unless you're playing in a giant contest like I was. Right. And I was trying to get to 100,000, which was, you start with 7,500, you get to 100, and I was going to bet it all on Flightline to get another 44,000.
Oh, that's smart.
And the guy that won I never got to 100. The guy that won the contest, that's exactly what he did. And there's a huge prize money. It's like $400,000 first place in addition to the money. So you're getting 44% on your money. So every once in a while, even though somebody's a heavy favorite, the only way you could lose is if the jockey fell off.
Right.
And there's it's similar to Duke tonight.
Right.
Right. I mean, realistically, they're not losing to Arizona. You have to lay a number on a money line, but sometimes it's okay.
Well, if you did Florida, Duke, Texas Tech, money line parlay, it brings back 120.
Yeah, so there you go.
Plus 120.
Yeah, and you're getting 3 heavy favorites. Could one of them lose? Obviously. It's the nature of the game.
Right.
One of them could lose. But would you like to be live to Texas Tech at that point? Then you could start fooling around and doing other things.
Exactly.
You're still in play.
Right.
You could get the game could tilt the other way at the beginning. You could come back. I mean, live money bets. It's just so fascinating at BetParx. Other different things that you can do, and keep paying attention. Don't tune out.
No.
Because an opportunity might present itself.
Well,
at any moment.
we talk about live betting, which you can do on the BetParx Sportsbook and Casino app. You were telling me the story about Brain.
Oh my God, legendary!
Yeah. Tell the story. He's good. He
Baylor Gonzaga National Championship game 2021, the year where there's no fans.
Right.
In Indianapolis, the great man, the brain,
Brad Feinberg, our man.
Brad, had texted me before the game ever started, and Gonzaga was undefeated. Baylor had lost twice. He says Baylor's going to kill him. And I'm betting accordingly. And I want to say they were like a 6-point dog. And Brad bet whatever he bet. And then Baylor immediately took the lead. And if you're paying attention, you could see Gonzaga, which had won in double overtime against UCLA.
Dead legs.
They had nothing. And Baylor was probably better anyway.
Yeah.
Just one team's undefeated, so they just assume that they're going to win. And so it gets to it's -6, then it's -3, then it's pick'em. Now Baylor's favored by 3. Brad kept betting, and it didn't matter what the number was. They covered every spread. They won by like 15 in the end, and they covered every number.
Well, to your point, because it's an algorithm, they're not watching the game.
Right. Whoever's doing, they're all numbers based. If you know the game, and I had one last week with St. John's.
Yes.
They're playing Omaha, and they were horrible in the first half. I mean, dreadful. They're up by 5, and you could see Omaha had done everything they could possibly do, and they had nothing. They were going to get annihilated. And I texted you earlier today, said St. John's by 30.
Yeah.
They were -9.5 in the second half line. They won the second half by 25.
Yeah.
And it was like over in
the
like
first 5 minutes. Yeah.
It was like you could have turned the TV off.
Yeah, they weren't going to outscore St. John's after that.
It wasn't happening. But those are the kind of opportunities. Again, you have to know the game.
Right.
And if you do, then put your knowledge to work, and it's in-game is huge if you understand what it is you're seeing.
Well, and let's examine these games in that perspective, right? So BYU, Alabama, you got to look and see if, the pace is what it is, because there's no way it doesn't go over.
You would. It's hard to imagine it wouldn't. I mean, let me look at the 2 pace numbers for these teams, but it seems to me, Anthony, they should both be in the top 15 in possessions. Hang on a second here. I got way too much paper running around. So, like, we're talking 70 to 75 possessions. If you can get up to that number and watch early, and you can actually go on, there's a thing called Stat Broadcast, which I use all the time.
Oh, it's awesome.
And it basically gives you up to the second how many possessions have gone in the game.
Oh, that's
how
great.
each team is doing points per possession. Like, points can't tell you anything.
Right.
Points per possession tells you what's actually happening.
Yeah.
Like, for years, they'd say, Princeton's playing great defense. No, they're not. They have 50 possessions a game, so they score 50 points.
Right.
That's
right.
That's all. They're just keeping the score down. So look at that. See where you are. If you're in a game like that, let's say you're through 10 minutes, and there's almost 20 possessions, that's telling you this is probably going to go over because they're playing at a hot pace. But that's out there. I mean, that's widely available. StatBroadcast.com.
Florida, like, to me, is a couple things. One, you could see. I don't think Maryland can come back on them.
Seems unlikely. Now, Maryland, the one thing about them,
they could shoot it.
They can shoot threes. They haven't lost a game all year by more than 7.
Yeah.
And they've lost 4 games on buzzer beaters. It's been bizarre in that way. But I don't think they've played a team remotely as good as Florida. I think Florida's like 5 to 10 points better than anybody in the Big Ten. And out of the Big Ten, they played Villanova and Marquette. Those were the two teams that they played. So this is going to be a bit of a culture shock for the Terps. To go back to my other point a second, Alabama averages 75 possessions a game. That's fourth most in the country.
Wow.
BYU's at 67, which is kind of middle of the pack.
Yeah.
So this should be well into the 70s. So just check that out early. See, and you actually don't even need to, if you're watching it, see how fast the shots are going up.
Yeah.
The shot clock should not be a factor in this game.
Yeah, that's great advice. Maryland and Florida, like we said, again, is there any trick in game that you would look at?
I would look at if Maryland is in foul trouble, this game is going over. What's the number?
The total is 157 and a half.
Yeah, if Florida gets to the 1-1 early, that means A, they're going to get to the line a lot, and B, they're going to put up a big number on Maryland because Maryland's defense they're going to not be able to defend because they're going to have guys in foul trouble. And if they are in foul trouble, as I said, they have no bench scoring. Their starting lineup scores more points than any starting lineup in the country.
Wow.
Because they just don't have any bench.
Yeah.
They have to score.
They have to score. Texas, Duke and Arizona. Oh, by the way, the Phillies have taken the lead. The Fighting Phils.
I think it was Real Muto maybe with a
JT with a double.
7-3.
7-3. Actually, Bohm double.
All right.
And then JT with a double.
Oh, there you go.
Phil's break it open 7-3, top 10.
Can they hold on? Who's the next who's the closer now?
I wonder who they're going to.
How many bullpen guys have they used?
Let's see.
Where's my man Matt Strong?
Yeah, well, I think he is about. So, yeah, they've used Kirkering, Romano, and Alvarado.
All right.
So there you go.
Okay.
So Duke, Arizona in game.
Yep.
Best advice.
I think this has a chance to be a wide margin. It's 9.5. All right, so watch the first 5 minutes. Look, they're going to adjust the live number, right? But they're not going to be able to adjust it super fast. If you get a sense, as you're watching these teams go up and down the court, if Duke can defend Arizona, whatever the number is, just give it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if it's 11 or 12.
Yeah.
If Arizona starts the game like 1 for 7, and Duke's up, I don't care, 10-4, dive in.
Yeah.
That's the time. That's the time to go. I think that's the biggest hint you can get because Arizona's not going to stop Duke. Duke is going to score. But Duke's defense is good enough, in my opinion, to stop Arizona. And if they do, Arizona's going to get blown out.
And, I think to add to your point, if Caleb Love is missing early.
Yes, and he'll keep firing. Mm-hmm. He will not stop firing. And he's got, it's going to be probably his last college game.
Yeah.
And he's a North Carolina guy, right? He had that great game where they eliminated Duke in the Final Four, Coach K's last game. It's actually hilarious. He loses his last game to North Carolina.
I know, right? You can't make
in the Final
up.
Four.
You can't
First
make that
time
up.
Duke and North Carolina ever played in the tournament, which is kind of hard to believe.
Yeah.
They'd never met up. And Love was great in that game, but he hates Duke because he was at North Carolina. And sometimes when you hate somebody, and I looked up his numbers the first time they played, he was terrible. It was like 3 for 14 in the game at McHale Center back in November. And he's one of those guys who can shoot you in or shoot you out. And again, he will not stop firing. He could miss 10 in a row.
Yeah.
And he got no problem missing 11.
Arkansas, Texas Tech.
Yeah, I think they're what's our over under
147 and a half.
Okay, 147 and a half. I think Arkansas is going to have trouble scoring in this game.
Yeah.
This could be. Maybe watch the first. I don't know that the number is going to deviate a ton early, but try to watch through the first 2 media timeouts maybe. If Arkansas is having trouble and Texas Tech is going to make them shoot threes, if they're shooting a poor percentage from 3 and they're not getting a million offensive rebounds, which is kind of the best thing they do, I think this could be an under.
Yeah.
Just as long as the number hasn't gone, you don't want to, if they're racking it up on you 7-8 points, then don't fool around with it. But if it stays at this 147.5, and you get a sense early on that Arkansas is going to have trouble scoring, then I might go with an under here. Because Texas Tech, they can put points on the board, but I wouldn't call them a prolific scoring team.
No.
It's good, and their offense is very good. They're very efficient.
Yeah, but they're not going to light it up.
Right, and they only play 66 possessions a game, Anthony. So that's 282. So that's going to keep the score down a little bit.
I think you're right. I think it's an under.
They play a little faster pace, but Texas Tech's going to control the pace of this game.
That's a good under. I think it's a pre-flop under.
Right, and when you see, you could play it now, right? And when you see a team that's the favorite, that's a mid-60s possession team, that's telling you there's a real good chance this is going under it. And the thing you root against foul trouble.
Yeah.
You just don't want teams living at the line and getting to the double bonus. That's where you get in trouble if you have it under.
All right, so the last four, we'll give you some in-game advice. Ole Miss, Michigan State. I think that's got a chance to kind of replicate the other Ole Miss game, because if Ole Miss is controlling this game, just keep playing them.
Yeah, the key thing for Ole Miss, Michigan State's their two best offenses are the missed shot, because they're a great offensive rebounding team, and fast breaks.
Yeah.
Izzo's famous for that sideline fast break. They're great at it. So Ole Miss is going to have to, if they could get some offensive rebounds themselves, and they're pretty good at it, Anthony. They get 36% of their missed shots back. If they could keep Michigan State from running and not get killed themselves, if they could control their defensive boards, Michigan State's going to have trouble getting anywhere near 70 in this game. I'd be shocked if they get there. And then we're talking, what do we got here? 143 and a half. So they're basically saying the winner is going to get around 71 or 72. That to me looks like an under as well.
Yeah.
The part you don't know is about the fouls.
Right.
Who are the referees? How are they going to react? Or team's going to be in foul trouble? If they're not, then this looks like a stone under. Michigan State 67 possessions. Ole Miss is 68, kind of middle of the pack. But I see Michigan State being able to control the running game. If Michigan State is in a half-court game, they're not winning this game. They got to have to get 15 to 20 fast break points
buckets.
to win. And look, that's how they do win.
Yeah.
They're the number one in the country in fast break points. They're awesome at it.
Kentucky, Tennessee.
Yeah, I think this one is, how is the game being played? Is it being played Tennessee's way or Kentucky's way? Tennessee's way is slow, 64 possessions, Anthony, a game. That's 346 in the country. There's 363 Division I teams. You can do the math. Kentucky, conversely, 71 possessions, 26. So you might want to get on Stat Broadcast, or you could chart them yourself if you want. You can chart the possessions. If that number after 10 minutes is in the vicinity of, say, 15, 16, 17, you're probably going over.
Yeah.
Because it's not a huge number anyway.
144 and a half.
Right, on the theory that it's going to be hard to get much higher than 70 because Tennessee keeps the possessions down low. But we mentioned in both games this year, Kentucky was able to get there. So it could be a matchup problem for Tennessee. But again, this is one I wouldn't play this pregame.
Would you look at the side at all? Like if you're seeing the pace go Kentucky's way to play Kentucky?
Right. Is Kentucky have a specific number? That would interest me, similar to the number we're talking about, what, Duke tonight we were talking about?
Yeah. So Kentucky,
I'd be interested in that.
I'll tell you, I got it right here.
Parx.
So Kentucky's team total is
probably like 72, 73.
69 and a half.
I would take over. If Kentucky is going to win, and I think they are going to win, they're going over. I'll tell you what it's similar to, Anthony. It was a Super Bowl bet that was not very difficult to make. Jalen Hurts was 3.5 to 1 to be the MVP.
Right.
Well, if the Eagles won the game, there were only two possibilities.
Yeah.
It was him or Barkley.
Right.
And you knew Spags, he wasn't letting Barkley go nuts. So there was only one other possibility. So that was a hell of a bet.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
the
it's a
Eagles
great
were, on the money line. It was like essentially a pick 'em game.
Right.
That was the play.
Yeah.
You got 3.5 to 1 on
Well,
Jalen Hurts.
now Kentucky's plus 160 to win this thing.
Yeah, I think that's a good play too. The money line. I like the money line. I just like them. Tennessee was in this exact same spot last year. Gave Purdue a very good game with Dalton Connect, but they don't have that player this year that can score 30. They don't. They just don't have that guy.
Yeah.
So I think Kentucky definitely has more firepower. But again, if you're playing the over/under number, or really any way in that game, you watch those first few minutes. But if you're playing pregame, I would take Kentucky in the points and Kentucky on the money line and Kentucky with the over 69.
Yeah.
I think those are all the right plays. And again, if they can make 10 threes, they're going over.
They're going over. Yeah. Michigan and Auburn. We talked about the high number. It's Auburn's 9.
Yep.
Is there a threshold in the game where you look at one of the sides?
Yeah, I would want to see. These are two like medium possession teams. Michigan's at 70. It's a little high. It's at 58 in the country. Auburn's at 68. That's definitely right in the middle of the pack. So neither's a super high possession team. I think I have no, like I said, I don't have a side I like in here because the number to me is right on. I think they've done a great job with the number. I was very impressed with Michigan against Texas A&M. I didn't see that coming. They kind of faded at the end of the year, and then they won the Big Ten tournament. It's like they got rejuvenated, and obviously they were fortunate to win the first game. I don't have any strong feel for this, even if I saw something for 5 minutes.
Right.
Because it's a very unique matchup. Michigan, they don't play like anybody with the two bigs. You have Danny Wolf's the best passing big man in college basketball, but they don't have anybody that's going to be able to guard Broom, I don't think. And Oregon on the wings, again, I keep waiting for Michigan's wings to implode, and they haven't done it yet. I think they're doing it against Auburn. I think they could implode. The number I would like to have is the turnover number. If we could go over Michigan turnovers. I don't know if that number exists, but
that's a great point.
I think,
that's
and again,
a great point.
If they are turning it over, then Auburn's going to wax them.
They're going to whack them. And then finally, Houston-Purdue. How do you play in-game Houston-Purdue?
Yeah, I just think you should start betting Houston. It's 8.5 at the moment at Bet Parx, and just keep betting them because I think there's every chance that they're going to blow Purdue out.
Gotcha.
And look, Purdue, people are still looking at them as the team that played for the national championship last year. Well, they're not that team. That guy's in Memphis. He's in the NBA. And if you look at them toward the end of the season, Anthony, they faded badly. I mean, they give up 94 to Wisconsin, 75 to Michigan State, 73 to Indiana. I mean, they were getting torched. I just don't think their defense is nearly good enough. And their offense, which is good in half court against teams that play a certain way, this is a hideous matchup the way Houston plays.
I'm with you. I think you could jump on the first half line, too. If that's half the line, which it typically is, like 4 to 4.5. Let's see. I'll tell you right now. So,
and I think the longer the game goes, the more Purdue's going to get fatigued and just start turning the ball over, and you could see a Houston layup line.
So,
and keep in mind again,
4.5. Houston's
4.5. I would like the halftime line.
Yeah.
And Houston, again, people do not know this. This is the best three-point shooting team in the country.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Villanova.
Yeah.
But they are the best.
Yeah.
And when you play that kind of defense and you have that kind of firepower, that's a team that could go to the Alamo Dome and win it all.
Yeah, win it all. I'm with you. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. What a fun. Oh, man.
My man.
Oh, man. I guess we'll do it again for the Final Four, hopefully.
For you, anytime.
That's the best, brother. You're the greatest. The great Dick Jerardi.
Talk some hoops with Anthony.
HOF Hall of Fame. He is the greatest. We're getting to his time, too, because
horses.
Yes.
They're next.
Is there anything to look out for?
The favorite for the Derby today, all our fans, Anthony, will love this, is journalism. of all horses, journalism. Trained by my good friend Michael McCarthy out on the West Coast at Santa Anita. He'll run next Saturday in the Santa Anita Derby.
Oh, good.
And if he wins like he just won his previous race, he'll be the favorite going to Kentucky.
Journalism. Oh,
Journalism.
I love it.
And I'm going to give you another horse. He's running Saturday at Oaklawn Park in Arkansas. He's run one time. Cornucopian.
I love the name.
Trained by our man Bob Baffert.
Oh, get out. Yeah.
His first start was awesome. I texted Bob. I said, Bob, and this is like a month ago. I said, can he make the Derby? He says, kind of tight. He says, but, like he's really got a great foundation. I said, he's going for it. So if he wins Saturday,
I love it.
He'll show up in Kentucky with only 2 lifetime starts. And, of course, Baffert was banned for a couple of years. Well, he's back.
He's back. Bob's back.
So look out.
Cornucopian. I love it.
Journalism.
That's Saturday?
Cornucopian.
All right, I love
Saturday at Oaklawn, a week from Saturday at Santa Anita.
I love it. For the great Dick Jerardi, here at Parx Casino, don't forget the Bet Parx Sportsbook online casino app. Thanks to Andrew Frazier, who did a great job tonight, as he always does. Got it all together, set up. Long day. We did our show today. Andrew, great job, buddy.
Thank you, Andrew. Well done.
Of course.
Well done, my man.
Of course, guys. Love hanging out with you.
Here he is. Everybody have a great night. Enjoy the hoops and the fightings, and we'll see you in the morning.
We all silly like the mayor.